So I'm going to be completely honest with you up front. I may have bitten off more than I can chew. I said yes to this huge session last week. The session is tomorrow. We've got a 3-hour rehearsal tonight. It's a 9-hour session tomorrow. It's a lot of music. It's like 24 pages worth of lead sheets. And I'm not even sure we're going to be able to cut it all in 9 hours, so I guess we'll see how that pans out. But more than that, I'm a bit nervous for myself. See, I do a lot of session work, but very rarely do I do session work that requires me to be able to sight read or to read lead lines or to have practiced other guitar players' parts. Usually I'm coming up with parts on my own, and so it's a bit different muscle than having to read down notes off of a lead sheet. So all of that said, I'm playing with some really great musicians. It's at a studio here in town called Bates Brothers that I've done quite a bit of work at, so I'll at least be comfortable in the environment. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We've got a 3-hour rehearsal tonight, again 9-hour session tomorrow. I need to go ahead and pack up the stuff that I'm going to take. I'm going to show you what gear I'm using, some of my choices, etc. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and let's jump in. So first things first, probably the most important piece of gear I'm taking on the session is this binder. I don't usually take a binder to sessions. This seems kind of lame, but for those of you that do play sessions where you're using written lead sheets and such, I find it really helpful to go through and prep them ahead of time. So I'll highlight kind of key sections and some of that. I can't let you look too closely at this music, so I'm going to flip through fairly quickly. I also just happen to have this left over from music school. I went through and wrote out some parts. I highlighted important things like when I'm using different effects, different guitar sounds, when it's an important switch I need to make, etc. There's quite a bit of soloing in here, quite a bit of written lead parts as well, so I was just sure to notate that. And again, I've got these nice little highlighted things so I can just quickly switch between songs. So really important to do your prep work. I haven't had this music for very long, so it is far from muscle memory. However, I do feel good about the prep work I was able to put in on this. Now, putting this together, highlighting everything, making note of important stuff, probably took me about an hour, but it was well worth it. So that's the most boring thing. Let's get into the fun stuff. Alright, I'm going to start here with the guitars. Now, for what I'm doing, I'm able to cover most of it with my Suhr Strat. However, I did borrow this guitar. This is an R8 custom shop Les Paul that I'm borrowing from a friend of mine that has been absolutely killer. I have a Frank Brothers build in the works that I'm really stoked for. However, it's not going to be ready for another couple of months. He was very gracious to let me borrow that. And again, my Suhr Strat is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, for the kind of stuff that I'm doing as well, I don't need a stereo rig, so I'm just going to be taking my 1967 Deluxe Reverb and probably the Variac as well. Even though we're going to be in a studio, having clean power is really important. I want to make sure that I have the right voltage for this amp. Now, for the pedal board itself, I've just posted a video on this recently, so you can go and check that out. This is the new mono rail pedal board with a lot of my typical choices. I've got a couple of overdrives from Norton pedals. I've got the Brown Amplification Atom. I've got Strymon Flint and El Capiston. I've got the Hayes 67, Cali 76 compressor, Dunlop volume pedal, and a tuner. So pretty straightforward. But off of the board, I'm going to have a couple of other things as well. Had to dust this bad boy off because I haven't used this in a long time. This is a 2007-ish Crybaby wah. For one of the songs in particular, there's a specific written-in wah part, so I need that. And I also have tried and true Old Faithful, the Electro Harmonix Pitchfork. Now this is kind of a just in case. I don't plan on using this, but if I need to do something where I want, say, tune down without having to actually tune down, this would give me that option. Also has some cool octave and pitch and momentary stuff, so I like having this as kind of a secret weapon in the studio. Alright, so everything's packed up and ready to go, starting with the pedal board. The rail pedal board is inside the new Mono Stealth case that stands up on its own, which is awesome. I've also got my 1967 Deluxe Reverb that'll go in a soft case as well. I've got my Mono dual electric gig bag, so I've got the Les Paul, the R8, and the Suhr in there. And on the front of it, I've got the Mono Tick 2.0. Inside the Tick is where I've got the extra cables, the extra pedals like the wah and the pitch fork, as well as some extra power, which is super handy. And the great thing about this load-in is I'll actually be able to put the pedal board in one hand, the amp in the other hand, and have this on my back, so that's huge. This is not sponsored by them, but they do support the channel, so big thanks to them for making this load-in and my life a little bit easier. This song's so fast. I lost the 2 full measures on the page turn.
For right now,
Riggs, it's called turning down.
Right. But these go to 11.
I mean, you know. So, but yeah, for the purposes of this click and. All right, let's go from the top.
All right, great.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
How tight do we want that ending? Do we want to be the bam and then offer?
I kind of feel like that does the recording correctly along, but I feel like the recording needs to be a little tighter. Does it need to do that, or does it need to have a longer hold and ball? That was it?
Just hit it. Just slap it. All right, so rehearsal last night went really, really well. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty nervous. The artist was in the room and has very specific ideas about even guitar parts, even though he's not a guitar player. That said, he was very gracious, and there were some things that I was a bit nervous about, but they really worked themselves out in rehearsal, which was nice. We also have a full horn section, so it's a rhythm section, drums, bass, guitar, and keys, as well as 6 horns, I believe. So there's a lot that was happening, but everything went really, really well. We ended up wrapping up just a little shy of 3 hours, and we have a 9-hour session tonight. Now, there's a dinner break in there, and I'll load in a little bit before, but it's going to be a fairly long day. I'll be honest, I almost didn't take this session because I was pretty nervous. It's not often that I do stuff where I'm playing another guitar player's written parts. Usually, someone's hiring me because they want my input or my creative expression on the song, whereas these parts were already decided by the arranger or by the guitar player that originally played the song, etc. So I'm really glad that I did take it. It's been a really, really good challenge. I don't sight read much anymore. Very rarely do I work with lead sheets anymore unless I'm doing some kind of arranging or composing, which is fairly rare because that's not primarily what I do. But it's been a really, really good challenge, and I just encourage you, if you're afraid or you think something like this is out of your wheelhouse, just push yourself. Now, don't take it on if you know that you can't work hard and make it happen. But I was able to pull this off in just about, I think, 7 days with the charts maybe. So, a lot of practice goes a long way, and don't be afraid to put in the hard work.
We never figured out what that one tune I had stuck in my head yesterday was. I don't know what it's from. Stevie. But yeah, from Three.
Hey Eric, any opposition to me taking this blanket off the amp for this pass? Yeah, can you play it back so I can hear it? You can go ahead and punch in. I'll have way longer to go than Clay will. But I'm only in, 8 bars before he is. So I'm starting at 69. You could just throw that away for me. I've got something better there. I'll do the same thing, but better. That was okay. I'd want one more pass at my solo. And I feel good about the take before that one, but I think I've got something better. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. What does the peanut gallery think? I say peanut gallery. I value all your opinions. Okay, cool. I'll take it again since he's taking it with tambourine. It's only a couple extra minutes, so. But I feel the best about that one. As far as I'm concerned, you could scrap the other ones other than that one, and I'll give it one more shot for a little bit of variation. Earlier, so I'm doing it, and then go into that chord.
Where's that? What measure is that?
It happens the first time at 21. No, 22. Yeah, 22 leading into that C sharp minor. All right, if I make this. If I make this, half your check.
Oh! Live it right, son. You live it right.
So this has been one of the more interesting, reflective videos that I've ever made for myself personally. Going back to the beginning of this video, I can tell how tired I was a few weeks ago when this whole process kind of started. So this has actually evolved into a couple of different things. What I thought was just going to be one session turned into a second session that happened only 8 days later. So I had to go through the same process twice. The second time around, I was sure to listen to the music a bit more to kind of get a little bit more creative on what I knew it would need and what it wouldn't need, and even double checking things like charts. The arranger had done a great job. There were a couple of spots where I was hearing something different in the recording, so it's just good to be familiar with the music to know and ask the artist, hey, this is what I'm hearing right here, but this is what's written. What do you think, etc. It was a really great learning experience. I hope you've gotten a good idea overall of what the feel of it was like. Sorry if some of the music parts seemed a bit choppy. I had to make sure I didn't get any copyright strikes playing some of that music, but I did have a ton of fun. I learned a lot about myself in the process, and if I can leave you with any encouragement, it's this: know your limits, but also know where you can push your limits and grow. This has been a great growing experience for me. Sure, it's something that was out of my wheelhouse to a degree, but it's something that I'm really, really glad I did, and I wouldn't have taken on if I had let fear run my life. So I hope this has been insightful. If it has, please like and subscribe. It helps my channel out a ton. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see more videos like this, session work, behind the scenes, etc., and I will see you guys in the next video.